Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, and you were in the Java Cafe this morning. Listen, this is We Need to Know Wednesday, and I shared with my guest this morning that even everything that he's going through in our conversation, just checking in this morning, I realized that he's coming to talk with us. A little bit of processing for him, but in his public processing, he is also addressing a lot of the sentiment that we've shared in the Java Cafe over the past week or so in reference to the holidays, mourning, remembering our loved ones. And so I am honored this morning to bring in my brother, my friend, a well-known advocate and person from our community who is dealing. And as I bring him in, I told him on the phone and I told him here, because we all know and love Darrin, but he is human. And if at any point today he needs to log off and say, Jimmy, go to a commercial, we surely will. And so we're going to talk about processing people and politics. And if you know this brother, you know that this is a three-tiered area that he can speak to from his life experience. And so without further ado, I'm going to shut up and bring in a vet. He was supposed to pop in at 9:50 and he popped in at 9:59 because he's been here. He's a charter member, hijacked a couple of Fridays for a couple of years on Freestyle Fridays. And so without further ado, I'd like to bring in the Java Cafe, my friend and brother, no stranger to us, Darrin Howell. And you all go ahead and welcome him in the Java Cafe. What's up, brother?
Good morning. Java folks in the cafe, pleasure to be here this morning. Thanks for all of the condolences, well wishes. Definitely appreciate you extending your platform really to do something that, as I'm navigating getting to the other side of some of the pain that's been experienced, it's always good to get that social belonging, that social connection. So being able to be on your platform to really just communicate to the community at large definitely is a benefit and pleasure of the friendship. So glad to be here and looking forward to this morning's discussion.
We're definitely going to jump right in, Darrin. One, I know we're going to talk about a lot, being sensitive to time, and two, I got an 11:30 to assist with the situation that you assisted with. Anyway, and so I have to ask you, sir, and I honor you the same way I do as the mayor, the governor, and everybody else that comes in, it moves into space. I think you've been in since you sort of ascended to a different place of advocacy in your full-time job, but you're dealing with a lot. We're talking about processing. I shared, a couple of weeks ago with the audience and the community with what you were dealing. And then I literally got off the show and got on my phone and, saw the missed calls and stuff. And so processing wise, Darrin, I have to ask you, as a man, as a brother, as a friend, how are you doing? How are you processing and dealing?
Well, I find myself with this typical response, repetitive response of I'll be okay, in terms of taking it day by day, and really focusing on getting to the other side of this experience. And I feel like in this moment, as I've been just really processing all that has happening and all that is still need to happen, it's really an opportunity to just really reflect in this moment, really staying to myself, just so that I can really prepare for the engagement and interaction that's to come. So right now I'm really just taking it day by day. I'm in a good headspace. I'm appreciative for the memories, the experiences, the relationships, conversations that existed between me and the individuals that have passed. But in the present, I'm just taking it day by day.
It is, I have the opportunity to know you and know the journey. And for those that don't know, if you don't mind, I'm going to skip some of the "I'll be okay" and all that, because we'll handle that privately. Help for us the correlation between you know, where you want to share the details. You know, we've been public about, you know, your dad has transitioned, pops Deke has transitioned, and then within a few days, someone who their spouse essentially entrusted to you their care post, you know, their transition. That's huge. And so if you could, just for the public that may not understand and know the correlation between Miss Terry and that impact on, of course, you know, Pop's transitioning as well.
Yeah. Well. Yep. Rest in peace, clearly, to Terry Turner, Chuck's wife. She passed a couple of days after my pop's passing. So for me, it was really opportunity to again reflect on the relationship, think about what I was tasked with, what was the request of my mentor in regards to just being there, being present, and being supportive. So to find out that she did pass away really has put me in a space of again reflecting on the conversations that was had, the memories that was shared, the relationship that was developed, and really just making sure that whatever support the children need in this moment, they're aware that I'm available to provide that, as well as preparations are being made for the memorial service. As it relates to me in regards to self-care, because as you highlighted, it's a lot to just be absorbing all at once, right? I think they refer to it as compounded trauma, right?
Yep.
Like where it's one thing right after the other. You haven't had a opportunity to really process the feeling for one individual, and then let alone another situation occur. So in this moment is again an opportunity to just realize that I appreciate what you said at the beginning of this segment, is that I'm human, right? And I think that one thing that when people say I'm okay, it's okay to not be okay in this moment, right? Like that really is a way of really understanding that what it is to be alive, and to be still present when someone that you care for has moved on. I've done a lot of reading in the last few months, just really in regards to self-care, self-reflection, really understanding process and transformation, to really understand that there's only one thing in life that is guaranteed, which is death. And knowing that something that I keep reminding myself is that those that have moved on from the physical form would not want those that's behind to stop living, right? Stop moving. And I think that is something that I focus on during this process of leading up to the service, is that those that have moved on physically from the physical form would want me to continue to move on, and understanding that it is challenging when those reoccurring thoughts come. So really just knowing that taking it day by day is part of the process for me, is knowing that there's a fresh 24, and I know a lot of the healing for me will take place after this weekend. It will be an opportunity to start, because unfortunately this isn't a space that's unfamiliar to me either, right? Definitely have been in this unfortunate space more than I would have wanted to be. So the things that my body is going through, where my mind is going, things that I need to be conscious and aware of, whether I'm eating, my sleep is off. Like there's just some things that the body is physically going to have to go through as well, because the impact of trauma is not just in the mental, but in the physical form as well. So again, I'm hoping that this is sharing with people in real time that you can have multiple emotions that you're experiencing all at the same time. I'm sad, but I'm also grateful. I'm also appreciative. I'm upset, but I'm also, feeling some level of joy knowing that for my dad, he was 89 years old when he passed, to really have a full life, as we call it, and to be able to see the legacy that he has left behind, and to be a part of it, and to really understand the statement of someone living their life their way. And so to have dual emotions, competing emotions, all happening at the same time. So if you're going through things during the holiday season, if these things sound familiar, know you're human. And this is the cost of living, is that you do experience a variety of emotions and feelings, especially during times that are known for celebrations and gatherings. So, but you can get through it. And I think I appreciate what you said in your posts about you can get to the other side, but you got to go through it to get through it. Right. And right now I'm just in the process of going through it. But my plan is to get through it, to be on the other side of this in order to continue what I've been fortunate enough to do now is learn how to live, not just being in survival mode, but really in a living mode, of having memorable experiences that I can reflect on if I'm fortunate enough to get old, which is the plan.
You just a little light moment there. It is. I see a little shadow on.
Yeah. I gotta go get a shave.
Darrin, I was texting with Carlos this morning just to check in with him, let him know that you was on. He sends his condolences. He wasn't aware. It's so interesting. You mentioned this morning that based on people's algorithms or whatever, some may have found out, via social media, which is interesting. But in the context of mentioning Carlos, if you don't mind, you talked about isolation, but I also see this process, and the reference in the post of getting to the other side came from you. I'm in a period of isolation. Where do you find the balance, just for some brothers that may, and I'll keep it 100, that generally we're concerned about this time of year. Remember, in years past, we've had a season of peace. We're still having shootings, the holidays. Can you speak to Black men? You understand more than most. We'll get to this at the end. The impact of politics and everything that Black men are dealing with. A lot of roles from this election. How do you balance the isolation in a healthy manner in ensuring that you don't isolate to where it's unhealthy, generally speaking?
For me personally, there's a select group of individuals I feel comfortable interacting with, engaging with, sharing and confiding in. I tell everybody ain't nothing like a good cry. So when they say men don't cry, like, trust me, I'm a grown man and I enjoy a healthy, good cry, because I know that is awesome.
We're laughing because for me to know you there. Go ahead,
right,
sir.
because we get this, and I want to say maybe it's societal, like you get this type of image of what a man is, right?
Yeah.
And then you try to live that out as if you can't be human, you can't show weakness, you can't show vulnerability. I've learned through my therapy sessions, a good cry is necessary, it's needed, it's healthy. When you got all that just built in, and you can lash out in other type of ways because you haven't had those type of releases. So being very selective. So in the isolation, it's not isolation in the sense of I'm in a room by myself and I don't want no one to interact with me. It's just being very selective on who you're willing to engage with those conversations, because you understand the relationship is beyond this unfortunate experience of, tragedy or trauma. One thing, we talked about is that when these moments happen, right? And people are aware and they are sending their condolences and they're expressing, grief at the same time, especially if they were connected to the individual, but they might not, that relationship they may think exists between you and them actually doesn't exist. And it doesn't actually warrant the type of dialogue that could seem sometime exhausting, right? Where someone doesn't get the cue that, I appreciate it, but I want to just keep moving right now. One thing I had a short experience with was just Thanksgiving. I'm not really big into the holidays. beyond what people may perceive of what I do during the holiday season, as personally in my own personal life, I really don't celebrate the holidays in the traditional sense of family gatherings and doing things along those lines. I've actually had more intimate experience during the holidays. Might go by my mom's and my pops. In recent years, have shared time with Terry on the holidays, right? Like, so there's things that I've done that is probably not what the general public may think takes place. And so one thing that was good for me was to really get a sense of what I am not looking forward to, but know it's going to happen. Was I went by a family gathering, just walk through the house, and people are aware of the situation that has occurred, and everyone is, my condolences, I'm so sorry for your loss. And again, that should be expected, but it's also overwhelming to the individual. And so how many people can relate to that feeling of like, we just don't want to hear the repetitive condolences, and again, no one's doing it with malice or ill intent. It's just, it becomes overwhelming as an individual who's still in the process of processing. So I got that taste of it on Thanksgiving. It was like, whoa, this is a lot. So let me just fall back a little bit. I gave my hugs, I gave my, kept that face on, but it was like inside, definitely like, this is not what I want to feel right now. And for me, given the holidays that these unfortunate passings took place, timing. So right now it's delayed grief is what I refer to it as. Like, I can't grieve right because I still am waiting for the memorial service or the funeral service to occur, and then can be able to process. But right now it's unfortunately like logistics mode. How do we make sure that I's are dotted, T's are funeral arrangements, family is situated? Like, there's just a lot of moving pieces to making sure someone is properly sent off in a healthy and celebratory way. So I'll get to the other side, but I know the start of it won't start until after Saturday. And I'm comfortable with where I'm at today. Like, I'm not in I can't go out, I can't be around no one, I can't move. I'm not in a depressed state. And I think that's where, again, leaning on the thought of the individuals that have passed would not want me to stop living, because they're no longer in the physical form.
That's one of the things that stood out to me in your beginning comments, was that, functioning in a manner that they would want you to. And I'm going to go ahead and be very real right now, because Darrin, I remember the days and know how you are. You're in the comments. And so we're going to highlight a couple of comments, because I remember Darrin would be on the show. We'd be talking, and all of a sudden you see Darrin go,
I'm doing better. I'm doing better. I'm doing better.
You are, man. I just want to acknowledge what Auntie Java said. She said, this young man is keeping it real. This is a roller coaster of emotions when you have to say goodbye forever. And on the opposite side, I don't remember who I was talking to. It's one thing to lose. I think I was saying it here on the show. It's one thing to lose a parent, one thing to lose a child. And Auntie Java's on the other side of she, my cousin, transitioned a couple of years ago. And so, Auntie, thank you for being transparent and mentioning that. Miss Teresa from out in Worcester says, good morning, Darrin, praying for you and your family during this very difficult time. I know this feeling all too well, who also lost her mom. Take all the time you need to reflect, remember, and heal. Michelle D. Smith says, Brother Darrin, I can relate, as I'm persevering through 7 family extended eternally transitioning from the end of August to Veterans Day, one currently in hospice care. Self-care is the number one priority when dealing, as you said, with compound trauma. And finally, back to Miss Teresa, this sort of same thing, affirmation here. What Darrin is saying is so very true and real. The trauma of grief is a roller coaster ride. However, compound trauma and PTSD of multiple deaths in a very short period of time is a beast of a different level. And that is definitely,
and that last comment, as I was looking at it, I was like, that's the piece that gets really how to get to the other side, right? Like, because that becomes what's real. I was unfortunately, in therapy, this, it's so interesting things like, man, you can get through that. If anybody can get through it, you can get through it. It's like, you're not really sounding that supportive in this moment. Because do you realize what I may have to go through in order to get to the other side of what is being experienced? So it's not really the words. But again, I think because there is no words, and I think folks want to find words to try to be comforting in these times of sorrow, not realizing sometimes it's just being informative is what a person is doing. Like, hey, I just wanted you to be, so that as you look to engage with me, you're conscious of what's going on in my mind right now. Which I probably is a good segment into people, right?
I was
Like as processing and dealing with people as, again, life goes on. So,
I was going to say to you,
right. And so right now during the holiday season, especially around,
go ahead. I sent you something in the practice. I want to make sure everybody hears everything. Make sure there's no other app, maybe on a computer using your internet, because it's stalling every now and then. And there's so much that I think people can walk away with today. So I want to make sure they get all of it. But you're right about, transitioning into people,
I'm turning off my
because
phone.
okay. People are, as you said, they are well
Right.
intended. Sometimes,
and it's so interesting because
go ahead. We just got a little delay off. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think that's exactly right. Like, people are still focusing on what's in front of them. Yeah. Yep. Like, people are focusing on what's in front of them, and what they have going on in their lives, right? And sometimes what they are not aware of is what may be going on in your life, right? Like, requests for some form of support or service is being conscious of how that may come off. But as you highlighted at the very beginning, people are not aware they're out.
Darrin, do me a favor.
Like,
As much as I like the computer, go ahead, hang up, and click that link on your phone.
I'm gonna try
and
to
come back in
phone.
on the phone. Okay.
I'm gonna
I think Darrin said he's going to. Okay, come back through the phone. Folks, Darrin is going to come back with us in just a couple of seconds. I'm just going to go and review some of the comments while he's doing that, because I want to make sure here. Look, solely different there. All right. Here we go. All right, sir.
look at that. I guess I am a veteran.
Phone. Look, I had all the little graphics. I'm surprised you didn't comment yet. This first time we put this graphic.
I see. You done definitely upgraded over here. But no,
go back to what you were saying about the transition of people, so people can hear it in full concession.
Yes. So, right, when it comes to people, right, and dealing with just when you're dealing with your own personal issues at the moment, grieving the loss of a loved one, or just dealing with life and other responsibilities and priorities that may be going on, but you're recognized for being someone that's in the service space, the giving space, as folks have clearly seen me do over the years, during the holiday season when it comes to supporting the Toys for Tots program. And so what I've realized is that at times people are not aware of some of the things that are going on with you, and there's things that I believe could be helpful in general. And I know I need to probably practice as well. I think I do a good job at it. Is just asking somebody how they're doing. Is everything okay? How's the life going? Like before going into that straight request or that ask, just check in some type of way to make sure that someone's in the right state of mind before responding, right? Because when we all know when you're in a grief grief-stricken mindset, you can snap for things that may not even be worthy of that type of response, but because you're dealing with your own issues, and you get something that can appear as insensitive or things like that, you want to lash out, you want to respond in an aggressive way. So just being more conscious that during the holiday seasons, it's helpful, it would be helpful, in my opinion, just asking, checking in before you have that request. Hey, how's everything going? Just checking in, and then go into whatever the reason for the call is, if it's a request or a thing. But just have that consciousness of holidays are hard for people. It could be recent situations, it could be past situations. So just be conscious of asking how folks are doing. Could go a long way before that conversation around maybe the reason that you're actually calling for is not to check in, but for something that may that person may have available or you may need at the time. So that's one thing around just people in general that I think folks should be comfortable knowing, because I know I've had to respond to people with a, I call it a disclaimer. Hey, by the way, you may not be aware of this. I'm going to answer you, but I want you also to be aware of where my mind is at and what's going on before uh you may think it's going to be a back and forth type of conversation, right? And so that's a I think a politically correct way of just saying like, hey, I'm, I'm human too, and I don't want to respond in a way that you may feel offended. But right now, self care, dealing with me and mine, is the number one priority in my life right now. And again, in a few days, I'll be able to get back into the swing of things. But I am fortunate to be in a space where my job has been extremely supportive during this time. I have family around me, strong friendships that have been there for conversation. So even though I put it publicly, don't just pop up at my mom's house. People that know me know they can reach out, connect with me because they are aware of that, of their relationship that exists. And I think others find out that it's not really what they may think it is.
I mean, there's a term that I learned from you during the Drive Boston days around the ignorance of people when things are free. And ignorance just means that unaware, don't know, either through life experience or whatever, don't know how to respond to a situation. And when we was talking the other day, I said, well, DH, I got a new term for you. It's the ignorance of people when you're mourning. And it's just that it's ignorance. You're not aware. You don't know. One, let's give full balance and credence to purely. And examples like I shared with Carlos, I don't know if you knew, but he was like, wait, what? So that's ignorance. He didn't know. But then there's, sometimes the general term of people don't know how to necessarily function a lot of times, well intended, but I see some social media posts and have experienced someone says something to somebody and they just got to the top of the roller coaster and they're doing good that day. And somebody say one thing, dip. And so, there's that type of ignorance as well.
Yeah, and I think also to elaborate just a little bit more on the ignorance, it's like if folks would sometimes just like I've joked with this recently. And I've even shared it with you. When people ask the question of, are you okay? It's like, I'm human. Would you be okay? Right? Like it's a purely
Yeah.
simple question. But if you hear that repeatedly from each person that you pass by within a 60 seconds and you done talk to 15 people that ask you the same exact question, that's when it becomes like, I'll be okay, right? Like, but you don't the first one is like, thank you, appreciate it, I'll be okay. But by the time you get to the 30th one within the first 10 minutes, you're like, yo, geez, I don't want to keep answering the same question. That's why, again, at the beginning, I said I'm appreciative that you've established this platform to be able to reach out to so many people that we have in common, to be able to just talk, because I know folks did take that as a warning. Like, I'm not just going to reach out. I'm just not going to call them. I'm not going to. And it's like, it's not that. I just want people to be a little bit more aware of everyone grieves differently. Right. And so it's never, hey, if I'm being isolated, it has nothing to do with, oh, you acting different. Yes, I'm dealing with something different, why, like it becomes that type of ignorance to be like, what's the golden rule? Treat other people how you want to be treated. Like when you're in a space, how do you want to be interacted? Some people want to go get self-medicated, go forget about their thoughts, go be about a whole bunch of socializing activities, and other people just want to be to themselves and be really secluded. It's everyone grieves differently, but just be conscious of how you interact with people that you're aware are in a grieving state of mind.
It's as simple as for me, Darrin, recently in some cases where things are sensitive, I literally say, okay, think about this. Switch seats How would you want to be talked to? How would you want to be called? What would a text look like that affirms? How real, would you want somebody to keep it with them with some cushioning of safety, or being sensitive? And I see you looking, so let's go back in.
No, I'm not looking at this. I'm not. I'm being a little bit more like, and there's a reason why I'm being, I think, a little bit more disciplined because
Okay.
I'm still in that state, right? Like I might want to be commenting to people that I haven't seen their names, I haven't seen it, so I'm being a little bit more conscious of even that.
And we'll be very sensitive to who we show up. This is the young man that I mentioned to you, that had, he's familiar with the platform, and all the way from Nashville. You got people checking in on you, brother. Pastor Drumright. And so keep him in your prayers, Pastor Drumright, please. The good brother Tashambi is in and says, so it is best to disappear during those times of sadness, since you won't get the best interaction and it may cause arguments. That's a real side, Darrin.
Yes. And that's why I've limited where I've been at this week in terms of where I've been able to run into people, familiar faces, things like that. I've not, because I know that Friday's going to be a lot of people, Saturday's going to be a lot of people. So I'm trying to physically, mentally, emotionally prepare for that engagement. So I don't want to tease myself back and forth. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna just rip the band-aid off and deal with it then. So I think it's really everyone needs to be conscious of themselves, right? If you know that if you're going to go out, you're going to get drunk, those memories are going to be too painful, there's a good chance that you can find yourself in a situation you don't want to actually be in. Because what's something that I shared at the anniversary event? I don't want to make a permanent decision off of a temporary emotion,
That
right?
part.
That, like, you just don't want to do it, and I don't want to add gas to the fire by just being in spaces that I know could be possibly triggering in a way that is not going to be healthy for myself or others that may be around. So it's just being more in tune to yourself, and being okay with uh Darrin ain't coming around. No, I'm fine. Oh, the toys is going on right now. I'm not there, right? Like, it's like life will move on, and it's being okay knowing that it will do that, whether I'm there or not. And I think that's one of the most valuable lessons that I'm taking from these experiences is that folks went to sleep and didn't wake up. Like when they were, who were they surrounded by? Familiar faces. It wasn't just everybody and anybody that knew them, it was those that they knew intimately, that was aware of them. Like, so just to be more conscious of what is living really truly about. Is it being there, dropping everything that I'm not taking care of myself to be there for others? That's I'm I don't want that experience anymore. Because I know what that feels like too. And putting myself first, knowing that some people may have a problem with it, I'm okay with that problem. I'm
What did you say the other day? And that helped me so good. I told them on the audience a couple of days later. I said something about Darrin. I used to feel bad, and he was like, "Yeah, I still kind of feel bad." But what did you say after that? But I don't feel guilty.
Yeah, the guilt feeling of like, oh, I've dealt with it in so many different ways where I'm like, nah, no more survivor's guilt. I'm not like, listen, I done worked hard. I done did what I had to do to create whatever space that I'm in. I am thankful and appreciative for all the support that has came along the way. I think my life is a testament that I give back. I'm not going into the next phase of my life worrying about how somebody else is initially feeling about a kind gesture, some goodwill, just trying to be informative or helpful. I'm not like, you don't have to take it, you don't have to deal with it. I know how to find myself in a space where I'm like, oh, I can be in my yard with my family, my kids, my
Your,
grandkid,
your
enjoying
pool,
life. Right.
your pool table in the basement. I
So
love it.
it's been a very interesting year for my 20-year
You
celebration,
don't
right? I
use the
started
word
off with,
interesting, Darrin.
huh?
You use the word. Well, yes, you do, but you thought about that slow and methodically. You said it's been a very interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the right word right now because I mean, if think about it, and you're one of my close friends, right? So you're aware. I say things, and then people get to see it gets played out. The things that was already told to them prior to. right? Like, and that's why I've always said that people like Chuck and Mel and others that came before, I'm like, they were visionaries. They had already a vision in their head. They wanted you all to see, right? And we got to see and appreciate and really enjoy the magnitude of their vision. So that's where I'm at in life right now. I got a vision. And where I want to see me hopefully getting to is a later part of life. I told my dad in his last days, I said, "You're 89. I'm not even half your age." See, I can find joy in that, knowing that at 89, you weren't leaving this earth worrying about is the rent gonna be paid? Was you gonna be around surrounded by familiar faces? Did you understand that you were loved, that you had value, that you meant something to people? That's what I take away from him moving on, because we were able to have those conversations in his last days around how he felt about life. And it felt good to be able to say, "Hey, Dad, what made you better than Job? You're a man of faith, right? Like you going through some things, but when God's ready for you, He's gonna call you on." And I know for me personally, I gambled with my life for a good portion of it. I gambled with my freedom. I gambled with my physical ability of
Safety.
being here, right? Like safety. Like I've gambled. So to sit back and be like, "Nah, I'm not taking those gambles. I'm staying as far away from those gambles as possible, because I want to learn what it is to live. I want to get to 89 plus, if that's the higher powers will." And so, even in this moment, when you offered to allow me to share on your platform, it was something where I'm like, ain't no memes getting posted, ain't no lives happening. And I know people genuinely are concerned, they care, they're curious. Some people are just nosy.
Concern, care. I'm on CNN. Well, CCCN. Concern,
So,
caring, and nosy
right. And and
and curious.
and I'm okay with that, right? Because I'm comfortable with me at this stage of my life, like where I can get back and be like, you know what? I'm not about to go live. I'm not going to do this. We've talked for years about this being the best thing for me is when I can have a dialogue with somebody. I can freestyle it. I can share my thoughts. I'm not feeling embarrassed. I'm not being like, oh, I got to project this type of. No, I'm human. I was fortunate to get an opportunity in the field of service work. So that's, if you're helping other people after 20 years, this is my running joke. If you're in construction, if you've done it for 20 years, you should know how to use some tools or build something, right? Like you just should. If you do service work, you should know how to go about helping. That's it. And especially if you needed help. See, I entered into the space because I needed help. So I never forgot it. So anytime I was in a space to be able to offer support or help, there was never, you asked me at the anniversary, how many people have you helped? I'm like, I don't know. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Count? Like,
And I did, because we started counting the average of toys from the first years and the big years and whatnot. And I was sitting up there trying to figure it out. At least
but
I got
that's
the numbers from
but I can
19.
sit back and be like, I know there's people that can testify to helping with their lives moving in a different direction. And I'm like, I wasn't even aware that was the magnitude of what took place, right? Because I wasn't sitting there trying to monitor whether or not someone did right by the opportunity that they were able to receive, right? I found myself as a vessel. My journey has been very transparent. I'm like, man, I said a prayer. It led me into this space. So I know that it's a higher power that has me moving in whatever direction that life continues to move in. I am sitting back saying I am going to enjoy the ride, but it's a roller coaster, because as there are some highs, oh, there are some equally lows that take place as well. And that's just, I call it life's balance. I don't get too long of a ride in a good space without coming to an unfortunate space. And that's, I've told myself, is life's balance. That's the higher power keeping me in a space of humility, humbleness, of saying, no, don't think that at any second life can't change.
In
You
them.
can have all these plans and see you later. That's it. Right. So just to know, like, I'm grateful, I'm appreciative, I'm thankful, and I will be okay. So
Yes.
anybody that's asking, Am I okay? I will be okay. I need folks to know I there's no patent on pain. No one owns it. We all we like you deal with it differently. We all gonna go through it, but no one owns it. So I'm dealing with some pain, and I will get to the other side in time. Right? That's the beauty of it. It's like if I'm fortunate enough to get more time, because time is the most valuable thing on this earth. Then in time, people will see what the other side looks like. Oh, he was able to deal with this because I dealt with it. I didn't run from it. I'm not avoiding it. I'm going to deal with it. And I think that's what I'm learning about myself and being like, you know what, I'll take on some challenges. I'll take some hits, but I serve a God that makes the impossible possible, right? Like so, I know that my
Come
test
on,
is a
sir.
testimony. So
Come on,
well,
let that deacon mantle fall, sir. Listen,
I don't want anyone ever under the impression that I think I did it. Like nah, I said a prayer. There's a higher power that's over my life that's been guiding it, and I am thankful for where he or it or whatever you want to refer to the higher power has led me. And I'm just gonna keep reminding myself that it's his call or it's call whatever. I don't want to be any ignorance to anybody's
that
how they feel about a higher power, but how did someone recently tell me is like I serve the God that can count the waves. Like if you don't believe in a higher power, I mean you can,
Darrin, you're
right
not
like
coming up here trying to catch a preach. Two within 1 minute. He said he can count the waves.
right and so to
And
know
waves are constant. And they that
so to know that if you people be like I don't believe in a higher power, I don't believe in God, I don't believe. Well, what do you think creates the waves? What do you think creates these type of things? Like it ain't me, it ain't human. So if I think someone said water is the most identifiable object substance in the world that can't be duplicated.
can I share something with you, sir? Since we went here and we're going to go into our
Yeah, the
correlation.
last piece. Yeah, we gotta close it out with some politics. I'm gonna give you a taste.
We good. You talk about the water, the currents, and the waves. So just hear me out for a little bit. When it comes to how we deal with people, how we mentor people, there is a term that a suffix, prefix, suffix that comes with the word ship, relationships, mentorship. All right, in the context of the waves and the ocean, Darrin, when you talk about currency, where do you think that word comes from?
I think
Currency, current, waves.
gotta be a flow.
It
Gotta be. Like
gotta be
I do
don't
not stay stagnant. I tell people like life is not about staying stagnant. That's why anybody that's ever gotten the opportunity to get to know me, I love telling people what you've been up to, grinding, busy,
yeah, yeah.
doing something. I
You
ain't
still
sitting
need to say
around.
that to me, Darrin. What's going on? Same old, just out here doing it and killing it. I don't know why I did your voice, but
But that's what it's like. You got to keep moving. Like life comes to an end. Like that's the one thing that I hope from this show, this segment, anyone that's watching understands. Like it's going to happen. It's the one thing that we want to not happen that is guaranteed to happen, and we don't know when, how, why. We just don't know. But in the meantime, you better keep moving, right? Like don't let life just happen around you. Make life happen around you. So that's what I'm now really focused on, and that's why this year has been about like, oh, I've invested so much time into others. I've invested my time into the community, my time into people's challenges and unfortunate situations. I know what my investment results in. That's why I can sit back and say, I wasn't surprised, caught off guard, but not surprised. When someone asked me, "Oh, can you help me do this? Can you help?" Because there's a laundry list of examples of being able to show up when it matters, when it counts, not for, "Oh, can I get on this get some accolades? Can I get some this? Can I get some that?" Like, nah, I just want to be able to do some good because I was given an opportunity to be in a position to do some good. It wasn't by chance, because if it was by chance, it would have stopped. we're at 20 years later that I can say my next chapter is focused on me, but not me in a selfish way. It's saying, I want to share this testimony. I want others to realize, like, if you've been down had some dark times, you've been on some troubling waters, oh, you can get to the other side. It is possible.
Sir.
I'm looking forward to, like you said, in my pool, in my yard, listening to some birds. I can go hop on my little adult toy. I got a couple of those materialistic things, that societal success, but I'm like, nah, that doesn't matter at the end of life. The end of life is, how did you impact other people? How did you live your life? How did you make sure that there was something worth talking about? Right? I'm looking forward to that, and I'm building on that every single day. And that's what I'm doing with my life. So there's gonna be these moments when life happens, as the youth say now, right? Life be lifing, right? When it
That's
happens, I know
parents
how to
say
take
that.
a step back. Like you said, I don't feel guilty. I feel sorry, but I ain't feeling guilty. Like, listen, I had to do what I had to do for me. You'll circle back with you. Hopefully, that matter is resolved. If it's not, we'll see what I can do when I'm in a space to be able to provide it some attention. Um, and
Sir,
that's so I'm enjoying this.
I'm going to close out with this, and then we're going to move into some of, the balance of, and you talked about servitude, and you entered this space through, service. And we definitely need to, share. And I think it's good for the community to hear your perspective on, some politics. We haven't checked in around that. And folks, Darrin came today because he was talking about a little bit about the toy drive and just some perspective. And I interrupted him and said, hey, what are you doing Wednesday at 10 o'clock? And so we'll hear his perspective on that in a second. But I wanted to close out this with something that Thaddeus said. This time, for some reason, I feel like he was writing this to me. But this time, choose you. No more putting yourself last. No more excuses holding you back. Stay unwavering in your commitment to success and fiercely loyal to your dreams. Remember, the life you envision is built on the foundation of the love and belief you pour into yourself. Start today. Don't look back.
Amen. I wholeheartedly support that message, because really, if you don't pour into you, you can't expect nobody else to. And your pouring into you is going to look different than anyone else pouring into you, right? And so there's going to be those moments, as I think Tashobi highlighted, is like, so you go in isolation, do what's best for you. Like you got to do what's best for you, and that sometimes you end up finding it. So for me, I feel like I found it through too much trauma, right? It's like I finally started to realize, like, oh man, I ain't eating, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't sleeping, oh man, this is a reoccurring pattern. So I know what my body's gonna go through. I know where my mind might shift to. I know that my sleep pattern will be, but I also know that joy comes in the morning, right? I just got to get a fresh 24, right? Like, I know what that means, because a fresh 24, I need a new day. I got to get through this day, but I just need a new day.
You
And and I definitely also want to make sure, like, you're right. Java offered, and I accepted. I wanted to do it. It wasn't that I don't look at your platform like others may look at it, right? Like, oh, I'm like, this is my friend. Like, I can call him, whether it is a
this is a
Java show
Zoom.
or not, right? So this is like a form of therapy for me, to be able to have an open conversation, knowing that the community can see it, provide whatever reactions, feedback, comments, and know that someone like myself is not feeling like I'm not human. Like, people look at the accolades, they look at the different spaces and think that, no, I'm a guy that's on Dorchester. You see me at Blue Hill Ave. Like, I'm a regular person that's been fortunate to be in this space where there's these individuals, dignitaries, all these, they got a job to do. They're servants. They're public servants. Actually, they actually work for you. But I'm a private citizen. I want to throw that out there. Just a quick disclaimer again. But when because like I said, I'm conscious of time too, and I love how our dialogue be going, because it can flow right into the
Keep this
three things we
close.
wanted to talk about. Right. So politics. Right.
politics. Go ahead, Darrin.
We're going into a new year, new administration. Clearly, there was a lot of dialogue, rhetoric that took place, but we are where we're at now, right? There will be DJT. I still cannot feel comfortable saying his name because that's just me and my own feelings towards the individual. But DJT will be the next president of the United States. As I've shared on my platform, if you supported DJT, I hope he provides you with everything that you was looking for or that you are looking for. I don't believe that Harris or DJT is the next coming of Christ. I don't think they're the end all be all, but I felt that there was more of a listening ear for one side than the other. We are going to find out. And what I tell people in politics, there's a delayed impact to the political decisions that get made. So, something I used to say, we used to be, were the first impacted, were the last notified. So just remember on 12/4/24 that I said that. Like, we're going to be the first impacted, but we're going to be the last notified. So when things hit the fan and you're like, when did all this happen? Oh, there was conversations, there was movement, there was hearings, you weren't invited to any of that. Now we're going to see whether or not it's going to be beneficial or detrimental to your quality of life. And that's what we're going to find out in this incoming administration. I look at some of the folks that get selected for the cabinet. There's a lot of yes men, people that won't push back to some of the directions or things that are clearly being present. So we will see. And know that you don't need to lose sleep. This country's been through, slavery. It's been through a lot of different times. Like we're not going to act like we have, as a nation, it doesn't rise to the occasion. But just know that it's going to get a lot uncomfortable for some people than it will for others. And we'll just have to see how that plays out. I'm not going to sit back and try to be like, the world's coming to an end. No, it didn't stop. We just have someone that's in there that's problematic to your to potentially your quality of life issues, right? And you're gonna find out one way or another, right? When people's oh, and he's a lame duck president. Remember that. He doesn't have to worry about what happens now because he can't seek reelection, right? So you're gonna end up having him trying to do any and everything that he talked about doing, right? Like, he says he wanted to do these things. He won with what in the political world they call a mandate because of the margin of victory, and he's going to explore some of those options, right? You hear some of his cabinet picks. They're like, we're not separating families; we'll deport the whole family.
Oh,
right?
Hold on. I thought you was talking about Biden. I'm the rapist, liar, racist. He didn't win by no landslide. He won it with a mandate. Well, not even a mandate, because there was only, now the final numbers are saying there was like a 1%, him 31, Kamala 30. And so we got to come back to an after dark about national, because I want to give time, because the great Tip O'Neill, someone that we know of well, our former congressman, made a comment, Darrin, some years ago that said all politics are local.
Yeah.
Sure. Can you describe, or can you give us, from your purview, one word that describes the current state of Boston politics? One word.
One word. I'm trying to find. I know what I want to say. But in one word, because one thing that is there is, what's the word to describe people that's not listening?
Mute. No, that's the person. That would be the one that's communicating. That's not listening. Simply and being sensitive to our ADA community. Deaf. Gullible, naivete. Not listening. Stubborn.
So, I don't even want to say it's unheeding.
Did you came with one word, but with unheeding, with 3 syllables. Okay, go ahead, sir. I know you looked it up. What's the definition? Go ahead.
Not listening, right? But and the reason why I said unheeding is because why I said not listening is the why I was looking for one word is because what I believe took place on the national level is taking place on the local level. People are telling you what they do not want, what they are being impacted by, where areas they want to see a change in, what should be priority for issues that are impacting their quality life. And the response is focusing on something that was not part of the conversation that the person just delivered, right? So that's what I meant by you're just doing something that you want to see accomplish, um, but that's not necessarily the sentiment of those that you represent, right? Like this is who is currently living in the area, right? Not for who you are projecting may want to come to the area by these new developments or approaches, but the people that are currently there, right? Like, so when you think about some of the issues that are impacting the quality of life locally, I can say I love my city. I don't like driving around my city because I can't drive around my city. I got to run into speed bumps. I got to run into these little white things that's on the side of the road. I got to run into, like, it's not comfortable for those that currently grew up there, reside there, and want to stay there, right? So it's just knowing, like, if the majority of the people that are currently there is like, nah, this isn't in my, I don't think this is in the community best interest, you can't tell them this is in your best interest. I think that's why we've seen the results of the national elections of saying, stop telling me something. The sky is blue. You can't tell me that it's makeshift green. It's not going to work anymore, right? Like, you're not going to have me just support it because you're a nice person. It's not working either. This is about how are you going to impact my quality of life on the things that are priority to me, not to you. So unheating.
Can we just unheating and can we just that wasn't even so much around the constituency, that was around the electeds, and that's to some extent, to a lot of extent, top to bottom. One of the major things it comes up, and let's just this ain't cap, but you of all people, everybody trusts your integrity and whatnot. Can we just name that a lot of this? I told somebody that a issue like speed bumps, white poles, and bike lanes can turn out to be a number one, number two exit poll determining factor. But let's also just name that when it comes to urban planning. Oh, Jesus. Somebody called Darrin. It's 11 o'clock. He might have a phone call. Somebody was supposed to call him. Let's see if he's going to come back. Darrin? What happened? Or his phone probably died because he was on there and didn't charge it. Oh, there we go. What happened? Who called you?
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to take the phone call off, but no.
Urban planning, the result of these speed bumps starts with my old boss and someone you knew. This thing is decades, some odd, years old. And so I think that what you're saying is also that though it was started a decade or so ago, how is what the people are saying now and the impact of it impacting the decisions, how it proceeds? Contracts were signed 7 years ago, the polls, the all that other stuff.
So I feel like the biggest thing that has always been a challenge is education.
But who does that fall on, Darrin?
It falls on the public servant, the elected officials. Like, I'm not gonna, like, there's something that I can truly comfortably say is that in my 18 years of working in service, that it's someone's job, right? It's what you choose to do while you're in that position, while you have that platform, that pedestal. You can create. I used to suggest to people, do it quarterly. Force people to come get the information, or at least say that you can't say I didn't make it available to you, right? Like, you got to educate. Like, I'm not denying that and that's what I said, politics and decisions are delayed. You feel the impact, and it might not even be the person that initiated it that's responsible for executing it, right? Like, I'm saying, but if there's no education, then guess what? My perception is it's your fault. Like that's the reality. I don't know any better. I know the person that's there. I know the person that seems to be leading the charge in the moment, so I'm going to hold you accountable for a decision. Guess what? I wasn't notified, but I'm impacted by it, right? That's what I said. First impacted, last notified, because there were hearings, there were conversations. Guess what? There was a meeting that was time sensitive to my availability, right? You can't have a meeting during the day and I work 9 to 5. When do I get to submit my comments or how I'm going to be impacted? So again, like you said, all politics is
A
local.
local.
I'm not gonna go talk to DJT. He ain't hollering at me. Oh, but I can holler at you, city councilor, state senator, state rep, mayor, governor. Like you can talk to them directly, right? They're local. So that's the piece where it's like education, right? But because folks don't, and again, I ain't knocking anybody because they can choose to approach their role the way they want. They're in the position. I am providing my opinion to someone that wants to serve the public. Why? Because I'm a private citizen that you are tasked with serving. It's your job. It's not your will. It's not me wanting to, you to do something extraordinary. No, it's your job. You have a pedestal, you have a platform, you have a certain amount of people, a designated area in which you represent. So it ain't me like it ain't about taking photos and this and that. It's like, how are you impacting the people that you represent? I can, and like you said, you can't you can't question my work because it's already been done. I've already can show you. I was out there on the front line. You can see I was quoted on these issues that impacted the neighborhood that I grew up in, the people that I'm familiar with. Like you can see it. It's tangible. Like that's what I missed about. That's what I've been thinking about in this moment of reflection. Those elders. Who tells that story? Who tells the great Mel King, the Chuck Turner, the Sarah Ann Shaw? Who tells that story from those that are in the position that are currently leading? You're by title a community leader, right? By title. I won't even tell people the private citizens, right? I'm a private citizen. People be like, Darrin, you're a leader, this and that. I am a private citizen. What about those that were elected to be a leader? It's their job. And if they're not doing it, don't keep them in the job. It's a job. It's like I said it so much when it was on the federal level. I said, take DJT's name off the resume, take Harris off the resume, and just put their education, their work experience,
Their
their
criminal record.
certificates of
Sorry.
right. You can throw that in there. We might do a background check, right? Or certificates and achievements. Just give me the resume. Don't give me nothing else. Don't give me gender. Don't give me race. Don't give me. I want the best person for the job based on your experience, your qualification, your understanding and education. That's where I'm at when it comes to service. So yes, would race be beneficial? Yes, if you're talking to people that predominantly look like the people you want to represent, it does matter, right? There is a side effect to where it is beneficial, but ultimately, I know I want the best person for the job. Who's going to improve my quality of life?
Who knows how to, who knows policy, and who also has the ability to navigate on a local level the impact of the federal decisions and not also coming in and being a newbie.
Right. Like you can't come into the game thinking that you just gonna turn tables over this and that. I mean, I can comfortably say there was some champions that came in 2019, rowdy, right? And for good reason, speaking that talking that talk. But the system works a certain type of way. And you trying to force people that's been there for forever and a day to do something, you ain't just gonna uh, force them in a way that's going to make them feel uncomfortable. They know how to make you feel uncomfortable in the role that you're in.
Internal and external.
Yep. If you ain't got that base that's coming in with you, I used to when I ran for office, each time I said, "Listen, I ain't going up there to be with them. I represent this community. I want this community to come up there when I'm trying to advocate and to do stuff because don't be turning around there. Why didn't this happen? Where was you at? I told you I needed the support. This is if you're a state rep in Massachusetts, it's 160 of you. You're one of 160. How do you make your neighborhood, your district a priority when everybody else is trying to do the same thing? You better come up there with your bodies. You better come up there with your peoples, the people that are impacted by the decisions that others are making in that space. That's how you beef in the system. I told people, I was like, oh, when I was doing advocacy and lobby work, and people be like, oh, legislators would say, hey, are you one of my constituents? Can you? I used to tell members, I don't care if you're a constituent of theirs or not. They're making a decision that's going to
The whole
impact your
entire
quality of life
Let's talk
for the
about
whole state. So like I said, we can do this after get through this week, and we can have a Java after dark. And I would love to
face to
Carlos if
face.
he could come in, and we can just bring some and have an honest conversation around what does it mean to serve, like not to be elected, to serve.
Serve. That's the only reason that Chuck what you call it? That's the only reason oh sorry, just got a city cancellation.
Yeah, like Chuck for me gave me the opportunity to learn what it is to serve. Like that's why I love saying that, and more often, I'm a private citizen. I don't have to do nothing. I can go pick up trash for a living and just be fine. Just don't. That
But
means I'm
that's
not.
still a service because
It's a service work, right? Like so. What I'm learning right now is that I'm enjoying the space I'm in because I've gained a better understanding not only of myself, but of what it is to understand what it is to serve and live. It feels good. And I know we got to go. Last thing I hope others got from this is the understanding that I do know what it is to serve. I do know what it is to feel that feeling of joy and high that comes from serving. I also know what it feels to not feel appreciated, not feel valued, to be taken for granted, to that feeling of entitlement. I know about that too. So I'm creating a balance for me as it relates to how I go about serving, not how others may. Oh, Darren, you used to do this, you used to do that. I grew up, I matured, I have a better understanding. I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather leave at a high than at a low because I was so frustrated I didn't know how to walk away. I know how to walk away from things at
oh
this.
my God, Darren.
So I know yeah. This has
No,
hopefully
no,
been good.
I'm not rushing you. You good. I can jump on 11:25. All I need is 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Can 3 seconds. Can I? 2. Can I? No.
So I'm hoping people are getting from this in the cafe today is that like I've enjoyed your platform. I've enjoyed you because I'm able to say like
we appreciate Darren being with us this morning. No, sir.
because what's crazy is like there becomes this perception, right? You get I tell people, when you're dealing with what's it called?
Are you having a senior moment?
Yeah, it's called identity
Crisis.
not identity crisis. When you don't feel like you are meeting the expectations others may have of you.
Inadequate.
Huh?
Inadequate?
No. Oh. It's like when you don't feel you're worthy of what you're receiving. It's identity. I just can't. Imposter syndrome.
I said that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear it. But yeah, imposter syndrome, right? Like that becomes like I have my own expectations for myself. I don't necessarily need others' expectations.
Oh my God, you done said some stuff over the years, but ninja.
Right, like when you're in tune to yourself, like like when right now people's like, yo, you gonna get through this? It's like, yeah, I have that expectation of myself that I am going to get through this, but
oh my God,
I got to go through it to get through it, right? And so what it's gonna look like to the outside looking in, you may question, but what was that phrase? This conversation between me and God wasn't a conference call, right? Like this is a one-on-one. This ain't a three-way. Not patching or merging no one in, right? Like I'm going to handle what I need to handle for me to get to the other side. And I know that some people may question or have concerns or thoughts. That's not my problem. My problem is me getting to the other side so that I can hopefully be there for others.
But can we just unpack this for about 2 minutes?
Of course.
Damn, you have said a lot of things to me through the years that one right there. I have enough. What did you say? I have enough expectations of myself, and it's elementary. The functionality, the impact of the a spirit of that statement plays out with me every day. But to hear you, I'm halfway about the cuss and
because that's what I think is
bro.
becoming so clearer as these days are getting nearer, right? Like where it's like, yo,
Wait a minute? Did you just catch a bar? What's coming so clearer as
I got about 14. but but no, like it becomes others' expectations that be like, yo, don't put that on me. No, don't put me on this. Like I'm going to do what I got to do for me, and I'm hoping I'm doing it that's pleasing to the higher power. It ain't got nothing anymore to do with how does man feel about it. Not my problem. I'm like
good
I
God.
know. So I'm in a spiritual space at this moment. I'm in a more of a understanding of not only life but my life. And I'm like, hold on, I want to know what it is to live. I want to know what it is to feel whole. And not feel spread too thin. I don't want that feeling anymore. I want to be able to say, you know what,
Oh
I can
my
shut
God.
everything down and oh, where are you at? Doing me. I'll be back and not feel any, like I said, guilt from doing those, making those decisions or making those moves.
All right.
It's a good day, man.
It's a
It's a,
good day for sure. And
it's a
Darrin,
good 24 today.
it's a good
This is good
24.
to go throughout the day. I gotta go shopping. I gotta finish this piece that I'm doing. I gotta go get a haircut because you highlighted. I got too much
What?
gray showing.
The Bostonian accent? A what? A haircut.
A haircut. Right? So all these different things is like that's how keep moving. I'm not sitting here eating some chocolate, not thinking all in a state. No, I gotta keep moving, but I know how to stagnate in pieces. Every day's been let me do obituary today. Let me do this tomorrow. Let me check on this the next day. And over time, all the things will be completed that need to be completed. So not doing
Darrin,
it all.
we got over on Instagram and also I keep saying Sika because of the name on Instagram, but and here Tashad, we're gonna have to do it after dark. I know Carlos is gonna make his way up here. We have to bring in a woman, and I don't know Tashad if that's you because I always try to be balanced, you know, to have men and women in the space, but we definitely have to bring in a woman to be a part of our next like political Java after dark convo. We should do it tonight because I heard it's gonna be a snowstorm. No, sir, I'm messing.
But also tell everybody, Java fan, black men, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be human. It's okay to not be the toughest in the
Hold
room.
on, because you know we clip things out now. Say it again, full screen.
So for all the black men, I know James talks a lot about just the state of black men. Know that you can be human. You don't have to be too tough for TV. You can show vulnerability. You can be humble. You can move graciously. But you can be okay too. If you feel the need to talk to someone, I think you should seek a therapist. I've been in therapy for 8 years, weekly. It's done wonders for how I process the various things that come my way. Find a good one, but really, if you want to really get a better understanding of yourself, um, look for ways to get a better understanding of yourself, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. Like it definitely is helpful when life happens, in order to help with guiding you to getting to the other side of whatever you're unfortunately experiencing. So get to know you, do what you got to do for you so that you can be there for others when you're in a space to be so.
Darrin, remember this day that we'll need to talk next year about if you do it once a month, I'll set it up. You got to handle all the logistics. I'll handle the tech and drop it and all that. You should think about doing a podcast called Getting to the Other Side.
Well, next year is all about me, as you know from the anniversary. I said next year is about me, and like I've dedicated almost 20 years of my life to other people, other situations, whether it's advocacy, whether it's service, constituent service. That's other people. Like, yes, have I benefited from some of that? Absolutely, but it was for others. Like it was brought to my attention, and I responded to it. Right? Versus, I'm bringing myself to my attention and I'm responding to it. So I would love to get a podcast. I know a friend of mine, he's reached out and said, "Yo, we could talk about our history, our journey, the different ways that we ended up moving." if it's doing stuff like this, whether it's I'm working on a documentary. I seen Aunt Thomas was on here.
He
So
does.
yeah,
And commented. What's up, Ed?
yeah. So working on a documentary. Before we go, I want everybody to know everyone has something of value. And I've been saying this publicly. Once I heard it, it was like, hey, share the information. Everyone has a story. Everyone. If you live, you have a story. Something has happened to you. Question is, can you create a $20 product? Your story is a product. It's you can have sole control over it. $20. And we live in a digital space, right? I don't even know how many followers or things that James have, but I'm quite sure I have fans in his network. I'm creating a $20 product because I need 50,000 people to buy it so I can be a millionaire. That's how we're going to start thinking about moving in the future. It's like you got to make it small, own it, and then go share it and see if somebody will buy it. So my thing is, I think people will pay for $20 for the story, the journey, the experience. So I'm focused on me, and that's what I tell everybody is my 401k plan. I'm gonna raise enough money from that to be good later in life, you know. So I got something I'm focused on. I want to do. Anyone that feels they can offer support or help, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Please reach out. But yeah, we're definitely focused on how to share what has been experienced and learned in order to provide information to others that may be ignorant because of lack of exposure to that same information that can be shared.
And that, sir, is the paramount thing of, along with, information, and the next dimension for me is to help and guide folks through my process of getting to where the platform is today and to help them. You know what I mean? It's Ayana said that, James, you're not a voice for the voiceless. They have voices. I said, okay, well, that's why you see me up in front of the choir directing, because that, and if I can help amplify them. And Jesus Lord, the ass meeting notification just popped up. Darrin, we have to do, and it's so interesting today. And if you want me to lead it, I will. If you all remember in 2020, 21, 22, we at the end of every Freestyle Friday would have a moment of silence for those that have transitioned. Actually, Darrin, I'm going to take a host control, because you should not have to facilitate that today. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to get through this, and my glasses will not be wet. What we started doing was we took a moment to give homage and acknowledge to those that have transitioned. And we just take a moment of silence to give space and honor. Today, this space and time is dedicated to Terry Turner and also Deacon Pops Howell. And so I will ask all of you, you can't be silent necessarily in the virtual space. And so if in agreement with our moment of silence on Instagram and Facebook, if you would just put 3 praying hands in there, and we're going to take that moment of silence now. Darrin, before we go, oh, Jesus, I love you, brother. I love you dearly, because this is worse than the day you popped up on Zoom one day. And remember when we couldn't go to the barbershop and I opened up the Zoom and you literally said, whoa, I look like a wolf. I wanted to put purposely that light moment there. But Darrin, we also, I just want to allow you the opportunity before he does this. I made a comment yesterday, and Darrin, you can let them know I'm going to be bodying with Darrin on Friday and Saturday to just ensure that what he mentioned today, people are good-willed. They want to touch and they want to, console and whatnot, but it's a lot. And so I'm going back into my deacon, in honor of Deacon. I'm going back in my deacon and adjutant role, and we'll be supporting him this weekend. Darrin, with that, do you mind sharing the service information for both Terry and Pops? And thank all of you who are participating in the moment of silence virtually.
Yes, so for Terry Small Turner, her memorial service will be at George Lope's Funeral Home on Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Um, um, there's no dress code or anything along those lines, traditional. And then for my pops, his service will be Saturday. Viewing will start at 10, service at 11 at Grace Church of All Nations, 33 Elm Hill Ave over in Roxbury. And the repast will also be at the church immediately after the cemetery. So that is this Friday and Saturday. That's where I'll be. If folks want to stop by,
I'll be
share their
here with you.
so share their condolences, pay their respects. Definitely would be appreciated. Definitely means a lot to all of the family. Just seeing the warmness and love that folks felt from those that are no longer here. So yep, we'll be there, and that's again other side Sunday. I'll start that journey, but for now, just putting the
I'm
last.
glad to hear you say start that journey, because ain't nobody expecting your ass to. Ain't nobody expecting you to be on a jump to the other side 12 on 1 Sunday damn morning.
Right,
So with
right.
that being said,
That's not.
Cleon, thank you. Appreciate it, brother. Darren, go ahead. I got to get ready to jump on this ask call.
All right, Java fam. Talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, man. Everyone today, thank you. Oh God, Darren, yo, he's become a tech pro. I really appreciate all of the love and support. Love you too, Cliff. Cleon, good to see you as well. Cleon himself has went through and supporting Dr. Shah, as well. And so there's a lot. And I told y'all last Monday, I'll say it, something in my spirit just said to create, as we've done over the last 4.5 years, create a space for folks to just acknowledge that they're still mourning, and it's very active. And so thank all of you. A lot of what Darren said today, y'all, I've been trying to communicate about myself. And so to hear him say that, some affirmations, the process and journey I'm dealing with transitioning to making myself, and what Daddy has said, no excuses, no going back, from fam, friends, and associates and whatnot, just give me that grace. It ain't nothing. I'm valuing myself first so I can continue to be a resource to our community. So with that being said, you all please keep Brother Cliff in prayer. To Shumbi, appreciate you being in the room, man. I know you're a real brother, and don't mess around. If there was some BS going on in here, you pop in, what up, Darren, and beat out. So I appreciate you. It means a lot. And Sika, who I got it right, or Seek over on Instagram. Thank you so much to Shad and Seek. We will definitely keep you all abreast of an After Dark with Darren. Tashad says she knows of some women as well. I want to have a little round table. And let's just talk about politics. We need to have conversation about black and women, black relationships across the spectrum. So thank all of you for tuning in. You all pray for favor. Yesterday was Giving Tuesday, and Darren said something to me earlier when we talked. I was honest about it yesterday. This platform is giving out so much. And I'm in a position now where reception would be very helpful. So I'm asking you all to pray for favor at 11:30. I have a phone call just to check in with someone, but about a potential long-term partnership and also immediate investment. So y'all please pray for quick, what did they used to say in church? Quick work. God's going to do a quick work. That's what the mothers used to say. Everybody that I was at, Cliff, I ain't going to be on nobody's phone. I'm praying, but inbox me. This is one of the things, the phone for me just, and Cliff, I'm in general, I say, I love you. I don't think a lot of people, I'll end with this. A lot of people don't understand that this platform brings a lot of unexpected access to myself. And because of some of the nature and the proximity that I have, to resources, which is the intention, the phone a lot of times for me is the worst, least desired If you shoot me a text or email and it's something that I can edit quick, send off, because that's what the people, let me tell y'all, when it comes to the connecting with the resources and stuff, they'll listen for 2 seconds and then they'll say, Jimmy, send me an email. And so it just, and not just with that, but I don't know. I think also that this is what I do full time. And when it comes to the phone, Thaddeus might be on and tell me to stop explaining. Cliff, text me, bro. Text me, bro. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Today's Wednesday, so we will be here tomorrow. Front Porch Collective is coming to talk about their holiday feast play that is taking place next week. And so they're coming with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. The directing producer is coming in tomorrow at 10 a.m. So please plan to be with us. But you all quick work. Come on. Well, this one time you let me call you Mother Debbie. Come on, Mother Debbie. You meant quick work. Cliff, again, reiterate, I love you. Text me and I'll just check in. Thank all of you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. and pray. Sister Debbie's doing it virtually. Y'all pray for favor and a quick work at about 11:33 a.m. UCB members, y'all get 90 minutes today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. And have a great day, y'all. Peace.